So, Rich, talk to me. You were one of the first people that I ever saw posting about the relationship between ITAM and FinOps. So, how did you discover FinOps, and what was the light bulb moment when you realised that there's some synergies here?
I mean, that's a good question. So yeah, I mean, it's about 3 years since I started. I was looking back through. I did a presentation June 2019 about ITAM and FinOps working together, blah blah blah. So I'd obviously, it's probably about 3 years to the day. I can't honestly remember how I came across it. I think it was just, you know, I've been doing some reading about DevOps a little bit before, and then I think maybe it was through some of that research I came across it, but it was very much just a bit of a word thrown out there. So I did some digging, and quite quickly, the basic framework of it, you kind of think, well, actually, it's basically ITAM. It's controlling costs, it's managing assets, it's getting people to work together. So I put the presentation together, delivered it in June 2019, and it was very much a kind of, blank faces and people. I had a little slide that was like, who's heard of FinOps? And it was, tumbleweed. But it makes sense, I guess. I think I was a little bit early with it. But it came out of the DevOps research, and yeah, I think light bulb moment style. It was just when I looked at the framework and the kind of 3 steps, and the crawl, walk, run, and all that kind of thing. It seemed so easy to translate it to, if you did find and replace FinOps to ITAM, it still pretty much made sense. So that was kind of where it started. Yeah, all those years ago, the world was a different place back then.
Massively. That's so cool. So what did you, when you were doing your research, initially for your presentation about FinOps, was there even much out there? Like, I mean, there's that FinOps book, right, by the FinOps Foundation guys, I think it is, that everyone now is reading. But was that even around?
No, so I remember, so I was involved, joined the FinOps Foundation kind of, almost immediately. So I remember looking at some of the digital proofs of some of the chapters of that book. So I was in there before the book existed. So it really was. So back then, because FinOps was sort of invented by a company called Cloudability, that were one of the sort of born in the cloud optimization. So they didn't do anything on prem, and then they were bought by Aptio. So it kind of, for Cloudability, it was almost just their thing, and then they got bought by Aptio, and that widened it out a little bit, kind of linking it to their TBM model, and then now it's part of the Linux Foundation. But yeah, I think back then it was just Cloudability, so it was very vendor specific.
So yeah, that's, I think being a trailblazer and not having as much research and stuff out there. At this point, you mentioned when you did the presentation, you said, does anyone know what FinOps is? And it was just tumbleweed and blank faces. At that point, had you heard of anyone making that connection between ITAM and FinOps?
No, I hadn't really, and I kind of figured that there must be other people. Maybe I thought I'd made this great leap, but actually I thought I was going to find out that everyone was just like, well, yeah,
of course we do it, yeah.
So that, it was quite interesting. Sometimes when you're presenting and you don't get that engagement, it's a bad thing, but in a way that was actually quite good, because it made me think, oh well, I'm either onto something or I'm really, really off the mark, and no one cares. So I kept sort of going with it, and at that point, the general feeling was it was a bit of a fad. It was going to disappear, and then I think that was probably the main feeling until FinOps became part of the Linux Foundation, which was only a year or so ago, I think. Maybe a little bit more. To be honest, the last couple of years have all
blurred
merged.
into one. Yeah.
So it wasn't that long ago, and I think that corresponds with. I spent about 2 years talking to myself in many regards. No one was really sort of buying into it, and then I'd say probably 18 months ago, maybe. So what would that be? Like early 2021,
Yeah.
2020, something like that. It kind of all of a sudden kicked up several gears, and everyone was talking about it.